From last place to playoffs happens every year in the NFL. Could the Texans be the next team? And is there a team that you don't have to go that far back to see that path? Let's talk about it. Texans in the playoffs? Texans, the 2022 New York Giants?
Playoffs?
Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop.
Welcome to the Locker Room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. We're having some fun here, and I'm asking a hypothetical. And some might think it's an extreme hypothetical, but if you really break it down, it's not that crazy. Sounds crazy, but it's really not that crazy. What if the 2023 Texans are the 2022 New York Giants? New York Giants went from 4 wins to 10 last season. Brian Daboll was a first-year head coach. That's one of many similarities that we'll get into in a second. And a quarterback kind of revived his career. Now, we can take this hypothetical to the next level, and I can ask the question, what if Davis Mills revives his career like Daniel Jones did? And that's probably the direction we'd be going had they not taken C.J. Stroud in the NFL draft. But we're talking about this quarterback competition. We're talking about Davis Mills looking really good. And what if Davis Mills is the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans? This is a really big what if. I'm not saying that I would like for this to happen. Some people would make a case that it's better to lose with C.J. Stroud than it is to win with Davis Mills at this point. Because there's more long-term payoff. But when we talk about Davis Mills, and we've completely dismissed Davis Mills, and I'm not saying that that's the wrong move. I don't think Davis Mills is going to be a franchise quarterback anywhere. But if you go back to a year ago, what we were talking about when it came to Daniel Jones, it's pretty similar to what we're saying about Davis Mills. Guy showed some really, really good things early on, and then he kind of fell off, and many had their doubts. I would say most, if they're being honest with themselves, had their doubts as to whether or not this guy could be even a quality starter in the NFL. Most people felt that Daniel Jones was a backup. And I don't think Daniel Jones is great, but I did see Daniel Jones last season lead a team to the postseason in the New York Giants. They actually won a playoff game. So my question, I go back to, what if the 2023 Texans are the 2022 New York Giants? Let's look at the similarities here, because there are a lot of similarities in this league, in the NFL. It's a year-to-year league. Teams go from last to first all the time. Teams go from first to last all the time. It's crazy. There's all kinds of variables. New coaches, new players, injuries. There's all kinds of variables, but just look at the similarities between the 2023 Texans and the 2022 New York Giants. Similarity number one, you have a first-year head coach from a successful team in the other conference that was knocking on the door. The Buffalo Bills had been to the AFC Championship with Brian Daboll. He was their offensive coordinator. They never quite were able to get over the hump, but you assume that Brian Daboll had a big hand in why they were so successful. And 1 year in, I think the New York Giants are going to come down to earth this year. I don't think the New York Giants are going to be able to build. I'm just talking about in the 1 year window. Brian Daboll did a good job, and you think he's a good coach. I wouldn't overreact to last year, and I wouldn't overreact to this year when it comes to him. But much like Brian Daboll, DeMeco Ryans, he'd been to a conference championship. He was one of the best coordinators on his side of the ball, much like Daboll was. And he was a sought-after head coach. And in year one, Brian Daboll was able to do what he did. We'll see what happens with DeMeco Ryans. Similarity number two, you have a first-year OC from a successful program that's being given an opportunity to oversee an offense. Mike Kafka was in Kansas City. We know he's not calling the plays in Kansas City. Kansas City has Andy Reid. He's one of the best offensive minds of all time. We don't know what Mike Kafka was doing, although I don't think he got as much credit as he should have for how much he was doing. And in 1 year, he showed he could take an offense from bottom of the league to middle of the league. New York Giants were not an elite offense last year, but they went from bottom to middle. And Mike Kafka showed that, yes, he was working under Andy Reid, but he knew how to maximize what he had with Daniel Jones. He knew how to maximize what he was given with the New York Giants. Same situation as Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick was an assistant to Kyle Shanahan. He's going to be an OC and calling plays for the first time here. And we're going to find out how much of a hand he has. But much like Mike Kafka, he's leaving an offensive guru, and he's getting an opportunity to show that maybe he had something to do with their success like Mike Kafka did. Similarity number 3 between the 2023 Texans and the 2022 New York Giants. They had an edge guy drafted in the top 5 of the NFL draft. Giants went with Kayvon Thibodeau. Texans got Will Anderson. And there's similarities to those two and what the expectations are, probably a little bit higher for Will Anderson, but both teams got an elite edge guy in the top 5. Similarity number 4, and this one's interesting, easy-ass schedules. According to Sharp Football Analysis, the Giants had the easiest schedule in the NFL last year. The Texans have the 7th easiest schedule, according to the same analysis, heading into this upcoming season. So easy schedules. Giants were able to make the playoffs despite being in the Eagles-Cowboys division. Texans don't even have as tough of a division as that. So you had easy schedules. And similarity number 5, running backs with high expectations. Dameon Pierce coming off his rookie season, and Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants. They were able to mask limitations of a quarterback. Now, it would be more of a similarity if we were talking about Davis Mills instead of CJ Stroud. But right now they're saying there's a competition. If Davis Mills wins this competition somehow, again, it's a what if, then it would be more of a similar situation because you could talk about the Daniel Jones thing. But if you just look at everything and you even put the quarterback aside and you go 1 to 5, first-year head coach from successful team in the other conference, first-year OC from successful program, given the opportunity, escaping an offensive mastermind, edge guy drafted in the top 5, easy-ass schedules, and the running backs, there's a lot of similarities there. And the quarterback position to the side. If Davis Mills is the quarterback, you got the Daniel Jones thing. If CJ Stroud is the quarterback, then you look at it as he's a rookie. And if you can do all the stuff that Brian Dable was able to do, and you can take advantage of, again, the first-year head coach from another team in the conference, their top coordinator, the first-year OC from a successful program, the edge guy, the easy-ass schedule, and the running back, maybe it's not too crazy. If you think about it, sounds crazy, but in this league, if I would have told you a year ago that the New York Giants were going to make the playoffs and win a playoff game and go from 4 wins to 10, and Daniel Jones was going to be back and making a hell of a lot of money to do that, you probably would have said I was crazy then as well. So crazy things have happened. Again, what if Texans 2023 version, same as the 2022 New York Giants. We are getting to the down period before training camp. D'Amico Ryans, by the way, rest up, man. It's been a long time for you. He talked about how important it is for him to rest at this point. You go back to the last half year, D'Amico Ryans has had to move his family. He's had to go through trying to make a Super Bowl conference championship, the stress of trying to get a head coaching gig, free agency, acclimating himself to a entire new organization and working with the GM, a draft in which you had 2 top 12 picks, ended up being 2 in the top 3, the excitement that comes with the quarterback, et cetera. Just rest up, D'Amico. You need it. Hell, we all need it. Subscribe, like, ride along, no matter what happens with the Texans, whether you think this is crazy, whether you don't. We are all in this together. Is this a crazy comparison? 2023 Texans, 2022 New York Giants. I gave the case. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Appreciate everyone for coming through. We're all in this together.
Post of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time.